husband dipped instead of helping me with our newborn. My husband Jake and his friends are planning a bros-only trip for this summer. If only his banana waited a little longer, it wouldn't have had a conflict with raising our newborn Olivia. Jake promised that after Olivia was born, he would be there for me every step of the way, especially during those challenging first few months. This bros-only trip for this summer is a week-long vacation to a cabin in the mountains for hiking, fishing, and bonding. I reminded Jake that Olivia would only be a few months old, and we would be deep in the newborn phase. He said if things got too tough, he would cancel the trip to help me out. Last week, I asked Jake if he could consider canceling the trip, reminding him of his promise. I told him that I'm struggling and that having him gone for a whole week would be really tough on me. He instead pointed out that his parents live nearby and could help if I needed support while he was away. I understand that Jake needs a break and wants to spend time with his friends, but I can't help feeling like this is a time when I really need him by my side. I tried to explain that while I appreciate his parents' help, it's not the same as having him here. Jake said that I'm being unfair by asking him to cancel the trip after all the planning that went into it and that I need to trust him to make sure I'm supported even if he's not physically there. So am I the a-hole? Update. Hey, everyone, I just wanted to give a quick update after reading through most of the replies. I was honestly overwhelmed by the amount of support and understanding I received. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to respond. Your kind words and thoughtful advice really helped me feel less alone in this situation. A lot of you suggested that I should also take a week off, letting Jake stay with Olivia, to get a break for myself. I really appreciate the sentiment behind that suggestion, but there are a couple of reasons why it's not realistic for me right now. First of all, I'm breastfeeding, so being away from Olivia for that long would be really difficult logistically. But beyond that, and this is something I know I need to work on, I just don't feel comfortable being away from my baby yet. I know it's not healthy to feel like I can't have her out of my sight, but I can't help it. I guess it's just that new mom anxiety that's really hard to shake. I've been debating whether or not to show Jake this thread. I'm worried that reading it might hurt his feelings, but I'm definitely going to have another conversation with him about everything. I'm willing to compromise and let him go on the trip, but I think a whole week is just too much. I'm leaning towards suggesting that he limit the trip to a maximum of 3 nights, so he can still have some time away with his friends but not be gone for an entire week. I'll update again after we've talked. Thanks again for all the support, everyone. It really means a lot to me. Update. Hey, everyone, I just wanted to share another update after having a very long and emotional talk with Jake. I won't get into every detail of our conversation, but I'll touch on the most important points. After putting Olivia to bed, I went straight to bed myself, feeling utterly exhausted. Jake was already asleep, but for some reason, the weight of everything just hit me all at once, and I started crying uncontrollably. My sobbing woke Jake up, and he immediately asked me what was wrong. I told him that I was just tired, but then I opened up about how anxious I'd been feeling about his trip and being left alone with Olivia. I admitted something I've been reluctant to say out loud, that Jake hasn't been as involved as I thought he would be. This was one of my biggest fears when we found out we were having a baby. For context, Jake has a rocky relationship with his own dad. I won't go into detail about why his dad isn't the best, but his mom, my mother-in-law, remarried when Jake was in middle school, and his dad wasn't very present in his life. Jake has expressed to me before that becoming a father was scary for him because he's afraid of being a bad one. Just like his dad, when he first told me that, I thought it would make him into a great father, because it showed how much he cared about being a good dad long before we were even pregnant. When I vented to him about all of this, at first, he tried to defend himself. He admitted that he's been freaking out about having a baby for so long and just didn't want to tell me. He said he didn't want to stress me out while I was pregnant because he knows how much I've always wanted to be a mother. Hearing him say that made me feel guilty, like I hadn't seen how much he's been struggling internally. I had tried to convince him that he was going to be a great dad when we had this conversation long ago, and now it all felt more complicated. I thought to myself, this can't go on much longer. I realized that if he was going to keep pulling away like this, I didn't know if I could handle it. So I asked him, is this what our life is going to look like from now on? Me with Olivia and you away? Because if it is, Jake, then I don't think I can continue on like this. Jake told me to calm down and assured me that he wasn't going anywhere. Then he got really emotional. He even started to tear up. He said he didn't want to turn into his dad, and that he hadn't realized that going on this trip could be a preliminary step toward becoming the absentee father he feared he might be. He apologized for not considering me and Olivia as much as he should have. Long story short, Jake called his friends and told them he wouldn't be able to make the trip. He's even started planning a little family getaway for the 3 of us next year when Olivia is a bit older. It was a tough conversation, but I feel like we're on the same page now, and I'm hopeful that things will get better from here. Thanks again to everyone for your support and advice. It's been an emotional roller coaster, but I'm grateful for this community helping me navigate it. Story 2. I kept a diary to track my wife's affection towards me, and it is as bad as I tell her it is. My wife and I have been together for 16 years and married for 7. We have a 4-year-old daughter. After the first few years where my wife was very kind, present, loving, and affectionate, things have changed a lot. I rarely receive kisses from her, let alone hugs or kind words. She doesn't ask how I am in the morning, let alone say good morning or good night. I am tired of this. I have told her in every possible way that, as a man, I need these expressions of love to feel loved. Her excuse is that she is too stressed because of the child, but these things were happening even before our daughter was born, or that everything depends on my behavior towards her. Every time, it always depends only on me. When we argue about this, she says I'm exaggerating. Tired of arguing about this for a year, I have recorded in a diary all her expressions of love over the past month. I know it may seem exaggerated, but believe me, I am exhausted and don't know how else to show her the lack of love I feel from her. Can you tell me if you, who have a beautiful marriage and are deeply in love with your husband/wife, have so few demonstrations of affection during the month? What I don't understand is that, sexually, things are fine and we do the deed 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes initiated by her. I am fed up, I don't feel loved as I would like, and I have lived like this for many years and now I can't take it anymore. Please don't get mad at me. Everyone needs their own time to understand certain things, and I realized this over the past year. I am a romantic, passionate, and attentive man. Normally, I can give 5 to 6 hugs a day, kisses, compliments, surprises, and I can talk about anything and discuss things in different ways. However, being treated like this makes me shut down and withdraw because of the lack of reciprocity. I am seriously thinking of divorcing because I don't feel heard or understood. I don't see a person who understands and takes action to change the situation. Update: these days, after publishing the post, I've spent a lot of time reading online, watching reels, watching YouTube videos to better understand my situation, and thanks to one of these, I discovered the issue of avoidant attachment style. I was stunned by how closely my wife fit the description, and I set out to thoroughly study the case. I also identified other things I should do in my relationship: set clear boundaries, demand that my requests are understood, respected, and fulfilled, stand firm in my position, and if necessary, make it clear that I am willing to leave. I showed the Excel sheet to my wife the next day. Her first response was, "But yesterday we cuddled." I told her, "Look at the facts over the past month. There are things you never do and the few things you do are a result of my complaints or arguments. They're not debatable. I'm sorry." Then I told her what I discovered and how she fits into the case. I read her the main characteristics of these people and the types of traumas they have gone through in their lives. I explained to her, knowing her personal family story, that this was mainly thanks to the hurt she received when she was a kid from her parents. My wife was stunned and listened, then asked me, "So what should I do to solve this?" My answer was I don't know because I really don't know. The thing I do know, and what I told her, is that these problems were generated in her childhood and need to be addressed now. I'm now informing myself about the options available to solve or at least alleviate these issues. Sadly, we have difficult schedules, so a therapist is now off the table. During the day I cried a lot because finally, after 16 years, I understood why we had these problems. A strong sadness came over me because I recalled all the situations where I was treated badly, with indifference, and did not receive the affection I wanted. I also remembered all the lies and manipulations used over time to cover up her shortcomings. I think the first step is to focus on myself and solve my own problems. Since I developed an anxious attachment style, I'll probably use an online course and books to do this since I have very little time between my daughter and work. If it works, I will propose it to my wife, who says, "I understand, don't worry. Now I know what I need to give you without courses or anything, but I have serious doubts about this statement and will continue to track what happens in my diary to have objective data." I've already told her that if, unfortunately, this situation doesn't resolve, I will proceed with divorce, and when I do, if forced, I won't go back. That will be the end. I will let you know what happens. Personally, I want to see how things go next week. I am sure, unless I am mistaken, that my wife will only last 3 days. In any case, I will continue on my path to heal and be ready for a new relationship when the time comes. Stay tuned. If anyone has experience with a spouse healing from an avoidant attachment style, please let me know. Update: so, as expected, my wife lasted less than 3 days, actually just 1, in terms of giving kisses, hugs, cuddling, but it doesn't matter. I found all the things I need to fix in me, so I'm starting the journey alone in order to grow and be able, without hesitation, to proceed with the divorce and don't go back to her. I'm also seeing a lawyer to have everything checked before I proceed in the future. The interesting thing is that I listed all my insecurities and issues related to the trauma I experienced in my childhood, and I see a lot of things that I need to work about and to fix in me. I asked out of curiosity to my wife what are the top 3 things she thinks should be fixed, expecting them to be at least 10 items, but she just told me that defensiveness and stonewalling are the only 2 things and that, without them, I would be a perfect husband. I was stunned and confused the whole day. I also asked her if removing these 2 things would result in her loving me more, but she told me no because she already loves me the way I am and this is just my cross. So it seems she's happy with the marriage while I'm not. I want more from a relationship, at least the basic caring of a wife. I don't think I'll give you any other update because I'll be focused improving things in myself, but once the times come for me to proceed with the divorce, I'll let you know what happens. Stay tuned.